Saelah searched the entry for her alphas. They'd agreed to meet there when they arrived. She could have allowed them to pick her up, but when she found out that Denny was going to be meeting Sukuna there, she decided to get ready and go with her friend, even if they ended up going their separate ways during the festival. It only took a few seconds to spot them, the shock of Satoru's white hair and Kento's blonde strands standing out in the crowd. Satoru wore a blue yukata almost the same color as his eyes and a royal blue obi. Kento was dressed in a tan yukata with a brown obi around his waist. Suguru was dressed in a black yukata and gray obi. His hair pulled up into a ponytail reminded her of a samurai from days of old. They were so attractive, and she noticed she wasn't the only one looking. 3 sets of eyes turned to her as she approached, and the way they looked her over made her feel as if she were nothing instead of the pretty lilac yukata with plum-colored flowers and pink obi Denny had helped her choose. "You look... wow," Satoru said. "Agreed," Suguru spoke, pulling her into his arms and leaning down to kiss her. "Not as elegant as I would have put it, but Satoru isn't wrong," Kento said, pulling her from Suguru to kiss her. "What can I say? I'm lost for words," Satoru replied when Kento released her, and the older alpha pulled her into his chest, stealing a kiss of his own. "That's a first," Suguru teased. As the 3 greeted Denny, Sukuna joined them, draping his arms over her friend's shoulders, and she made a mental note to tease her friend about the way he melted into the alpha side. "Text me when you're ready, and I'll do the same," Saelah informed Denny. "Have fun," she then teased, wiggling her eyebrows. "I'd tell you to do the same, but I know your alphas are going to show you a good time," Denny responded. "And you think yours won't?" Sukuna asked. Denny shrugged. "I wouldn't know. I don't technically have an alpha." Saelah pursed her lips together to keep from smiling while Suguru chuckled and Satoru laughed. Sukuna raised a brow at Denny before her friend walked away, heading inside, and Sukuna followed. "I guess he told Sukuna," she said. "That he did," Kento agreed. "Shall we?" She nodded, and the 4 of them headed inside too. "What do you want to do first, little alpha?" Satoru asked. "Let's play some games first," she suggested. There were stalls as far as the eye could see, and the first game that caught her attention was a ring toss game. She led the way over, and the attendant smiled, welcoming them. Saelah opened her traditional purse to pay to play, but Suguru beat her to it, paying for the 4 of them. She checked the number of prizes, and once she decided what she wanted, she tried her luck, tossing the 3 rings towards that peg. She landed one and did a little happy shimmy. The attendant congratulated her and handed her a smaller version of the stuffed butterfly she'd been aiming for. She watched the 3 of them take their turns and was then presented with 3 cute plushies, a boba tea plushie from Satoru, an owl plushie from Kento, and a chibi dragon plushie from Suguru. They were passing a stall, headed to another game, when Kento stopped at it and looked over the items it offered. He purchased a tote bag, reminiscent of a beach bag. He opened it and nodded to the plushies she had wrapped in her arms. "You'll have quite a few of those before the night ends. It'll be hard carrying them all like that," he told her, and she dropped them into the bag. "Thank you," she replied. She hadn't thought about that, but he was right. She knew them well enough to know that she'd end up with several prizes before the night was out. They played several more games, increasing her collection of prizes before Satoru suggested they check out the food, which Saelah was all for. She skipped lunch that afternoon, just so she would have room for all the festival food. "Why don't we go to different stalls and meet at the tables over there?" Saelah suggested, pointing to the tables. "Be sure to get enough for all of us to share." They went their separate ways, and she headed to a stall selling takoyaki. She got 2 servings and paid the attendant. It was the first thing she'd paid for since arriving over an hour and a half ago, since they refused to let her pay for any of the games. Saelah was the first to the tables, and she took a seat as she waited. Suguru returned first with yakitori. It smelled and looked delicious. Kento was next with servings of gyoza, followed by Satoru with takoyaki and 4 different flavored soft drinks. He handed Kento the cola flavored. "And that's the only one he'll drink," Satoru informed. "Now which would you like, little alpha?" Saelah looked at the other 3 flavors, peach, watermelon, and strawberry. She chose peach, and Satoru was quick to grab the strawberry afterward. Suguru shook his head, taking the last one. "Trust me, only you want that overly sweet flavor," he directed at Satoru. They began to banter, and Saelah couldn't help but smile as she put a toothpick in a takoyaki and popped it into her mouth. She skewered another one and pressed it to Satoru's lips, stopping whatever he was about to say. Once he ate it, she skewered another and fed it to Suguru before feeding one to Kento too. "I think I have room for a few more prizes in my bag," Saelah said, taking the yakitori skewer Suguru held out for her. "Then we'll have to make sure there isn't any room by the time we leave," Kento responded. She picked up the soft drink and held it out. "Will one of you open this for me, please?" Suguru opened it for her. "Thank you." He raised a brow at her, and she knew what he would say. I know," she said. They conversed while they ate, and once they finished, they went to play more games. They played a goldfish scooping game that Satoru was far too good at. He was able to scoop 3 fish, while Kento and Suguru got 1, and Saelah had managed to scoop a resounding 0. However, she didn't have a fish tank, nor did she want any pets, so they gave the fish to some nearby children after ensuring it was okay with their parents. They continued through the festival, and as they were heading towards another game, Saelah stumbled, her sandal catching on something. 2 arms wrapped around her middle, Suguru from her left and Kento from her right, as her hands instinctively grabbed Satoru's yukata since he was in front of her. "Ouch," she said as she stood upright. "Are you okay, little one?" Suguru asked. "Yeah, I'm okay." She looked down at her sandals. "My sandal broke." She moved her foot in the broken sandal and winced a bit. "You might have sprained it," Kento said. "I'll go get some ice and bandages in case," Suguru informed. "I'll go buy you a new pair of sandals. We passed the stall selling them," Satoru volunteered. Saelah nodded before the two backtracked through the crowd. "Arms around my neck," Kento instructed, and she did as asked. He scooped her up with his right arm under her legs, and Saelah had only ever seen someone picked up like that in social media videos. It had excitement coursing through her at his strength, and the prospect of a strong mate pleased her alpha. He walked them off to the side to a free bench and sat down, placing her beside him, her legs draped over his lap. "Let's make sure your ankle is okay," Kento said, removing her sandals and placing them beside him. He gingerly pulled down her sock to the heel and gently ran his thumb along her ankle. It felt a little tender, but she was sure it would go away fairly quickly. She'd had a few sprains in her life, and this was minor compared to those. "Does it hurt pretty?" "Not really, but leave it to me to trip on air." "I doubt it was air, but it's cute that you're clumsy," he joked. Saelah laughed as Kento continued to rub his thumb over her ankle while they waited for the other two to return. Satoru arrived first with a new pair of sandals and inquired about her ankle, closely followed by Suguru with an ice pack and a sack. He squatted in front of her. "How does it feel?" he asked. "It's a little tender, but that's all. I think we should ice it for a few minutes," Suguru said. Saelah nodded because she got the feeling that protesting would only have them fussing over her more, and she didn't really mind it. "What's in the sack?" she asked as he settled the ice pack on her ankle. Kento held it in place as Suguru opened the sack to show her. "Some ointment for pain and bandage wrap," he informed. She smiled at that, leaning back against Satoru, who was perched on the arm of the bench. "We should get some cotton candy once we're finished icing my ankle." "Sure, little Alpha," Satoru responded, and she knew he'd be all for the sweet treat. They iced her ankle for several minutes, and Suguru insisted on wrapping it. Saelah didn't argue, and once he was done, Kento fixed her sock and Satoru slid the new sandals on for her, putting the other pair in the bag with her prizes. "Are you okay to walk, or should one of us carry you?" Kento asked. "I can walk," she assured, "but if I need a break or it starts to hurt, I'll let you know." They went to the cotton candy stall, and she and Satoru each got one. She enjoyed her airy treat while feeding Suguru a few bites. Even Kento ate a little. They stopped by a stall selling sparklers and then went to find the best place to watch the fireworks since they would start soon. The sparklers were lit as they waited for the fireworks to start, and when they did, Saelah snapped several selfies of the four of them with fireworks in the background. They enjoyed the show, and Saelah discovered it was much longer than what she was used to back home, but it was extremely beautiful. Her phone vibrated in her bag, and she pulled it out and found that she had a text from Danny stating he and Sukuna were going back to their place. Saelah groaned, catching Satoru's attention, and he leaned over and glanced at her phone. "Makes sense," Satoru said. "Sukuna's nephew lives with him." "What's going on?" Kento asked. "Denny and Sukuna are going back to our place, and I have a few ideas of what they'll be doing from the emojis she started, but maybe they'll be finished by the time I get home." "They might be if you give them a couple of hours," Suguru said. "Or we could all stay at my place," Satoru suggested. "It's closer than anyone else's." 3 pairs of eyes waited for her response. "Our first official sleepover. Sounds like fun, but I don't have any clothes," she replied. "There are plenty of stalls. I'm sure we could find you something," Suguru said. "We should look before the stalls start closing," Kento suggested. They went to a few different stalls, and she chose a cute little dress, which they wouldn't let her pay for, and Satoru informed her he had extra toiletries at his house and would give her something to sleep in. She doubted she would find any undergarments and decided that she would use Satoru's washer. They left shortly after that and headed to Satoru's condo. He pulled into the parking garage, and they left her bag of prizes in the car before stepping onto the elevator, riding it up to his floor. Once inside, Satoru led her to a guest room. "I'll bring you something to change into." "Thank you," she responded. She sat at the end of the bed and removed her slippers she changed into and socks, then unwrapped her ankle. Saelah looked around the bedroom and realized it was the room she had told him she liked the last time she'd been there. Satoru returned with a t-shirt that smelled heavily of the 3 of them, a pair of boxers and shorts in one hand, towels and an unopened toothbrush in the other. "Feel free to use whatever you want in the bathroom," he said, handing her the items, "and if you're up for it, we can watch a movie when you're done." "I'd like that." It was almost 11, but she didn't mind watching a movie. "Can I borrow your washer and dryer? You remember where they are?" "I do." Satoru nodded before exiting the bedroom. Saelah placed everything on the bed before looking into her purse and pulling out a large hair tie. She pulled her natural curls up into a bun, grabbed everything from the bed, and went to the bathroom. She showered then moisturized after drying off, got dressed, and then brushed her teeth. She carried her clothes and the new dress to the washing machine and put them in, starting it on a gentle wash cycle. Saelah ventured towards the living room, then switched directions to the kitchen when she saw Satoru making snacks. She found him dressed in only lounge pants, and she couldn't help but take him in. It wasn't the first time she was seeing him shirtless, and she would enjoy it every time. "You want some help?" she asked. "I've got it, little Alpha. Why don't you go choose a movie?" Saelah stole a grape from the bowl before going into the living room and turning on the television. She chose a streaming app at random and immediately went to the horror section. She read a few of the descriptions before settling on one. Satoru joined her a few minutes later with a tray of snacks, placing them on the coffee table while he chose the shades end of the sectional. A horror movie, huh? Suguru asked when he came a few minutes later, dressed in the same fashion as Satoru. Saelah ran her eyes over him. Yeah, it sounded good, so I thought we might like it, she responded. They waited several more minutes for Kento to join them, and when he did, she wondered if she'd ever tire of looking at him, of thinking just how attractive they were. It should be illegal for 3 men to be so sexually appealing, and even more for her to reap the benefits of it, but if it had been a crime, she'd commit it willingly every time. With them all settled on the couch, Satoru picked up a remote and turned the lights off as Saelah started the movie. Halfway through it, she realized she could get used to spending nights with them, enjoying each other's company, breathing their air.